Hey guys, wanted to talk to you about spinach. Spinach is good for you. We all know it. But sometimes we don't like it cooked, and sometimes we don't like it raw, and sometimes we don't want to cook it even though we like it cooked. And sometimes it stinks, sometimes we just don't want to deal with it. So I want to share with you a couple of two different ways that I figured out how to deal with spinach. And this all came about because I had extra spinach and it was getting close to being like going bad. It started getting wilty. And I wanted to do something about it without throwing it away. So the first thing you can do is you can dehydrate it. Any type of dehydrator. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can look up dehydrating in your oven online. You would essentially, with your oven, I think you'd put it at the lowest setting it has and leave it in your oven. We did that for a little while, and then we finally broke down and bought a dehydrator because we were also making beef jerky and lots of other stuff. So our dehydrator was a very, very good investment for our family. And since then, I make fruit leather with it, blah, blah, blah. But, so this is our end product. Typically, it's a lot bigger than this. I took it and I kind of crunched it down with like the bottom of a cup to make it smaller so it would actually fit. Kind of smells like hay, you know, for all you horse folks out there. That's what it reminds me of, like alfalfa feed. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll actually put it in my coffee grinder. Now, I don't drink coffee, so it's weird that I have a coffee grinder. But I actually bought this coffee grinder specifically for this purpose because I wanted spinach powder, not chunky spinach leaves. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll crunch up the dried spinach and I'll put it in here and I'll probably buzz it for like 5 or 6 times. And be careful when you open it because there's kind of like a pressure will build up in there and it'll kind of be like a plume of green powder. So be careful as you're open it slowly, keep your face away. I learned that the hard way. And what's really nice is if you've got a good coffee grinder, you're going to get a really, really, really fine powder. And when it plumes in your face, you know you've got it done. If you see mine here, I mean, it's fairly airy and light, and you know, it leaves a good residue. I always have to wash my hands anytime I use this stuff because it is so fine. And what's cool about having it is I've been able, like if I just didn't feel like eating spinach, I would actually take like maybe a teaspoon. You don't have to use a lot, that's even the best part. Take a teaspoon of this and I'll mix it in with my eggs. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but for me it was worth the effort. If you're making more than a couple eggs, it might be worth it busting the wick out, because with a fork you'll be mixing for a while. But if you go online and buy spinach powder, you're going to be spending an arm and a leg. The smallest size, I think it was like 3 ounces, which is a lot. It was like $10. And I'm like, my time is not worth that much. I have no problem making this myself. So if you don't have to do something like this, then yeah, by all means buy it. But if you're doing a whole lot at one time, I actually keep this in the fridge and it stays. I've had that container, I keep adding to it, but I've had it in there for a while and I keep it in there just in case, but you can probably keep it out dry. So invest in a good coffee grinder if you don't have one. Most of them you can take it out and you can clean it really easily and you won't have to worry about spinach powder in your coffee, like a spinach taste in your coffee. So I don't have that problem, but if you do, maybe you want a separate grinder. Anyway, so that's the powder option. I use it, I put it in my shakes if I'm not blending them, I put them in my eggs, I put it in my spaghetti sauce, I put it in any food that I might be making the boys sauce-wise, because they need every opportunity for vegetables as possible. The second option is frozen. So I'm actually really proud of this one. These are spinach ice cubes. This is my newest. Sorry, I'm going to put you down there for a minute. So these bad boys, I literally put them in ice cube tray. See? Spinach, it stays wherever you go. That's what I put them in, ice cube trays. It may or may not stain these. I may or may not have to go buy new ice cube trays, which those are really cheap. I probably should have used cheap ones instead of my nice ones, but, you know, lesson learned. So, just in case, maybe go to the dollar store to get ice cube trays for this purpose so that they're not being stained. But if you see, there's a good amount in there. And what I do with these is with my Shakeology, I'll just take an ice cube, I'll throw it in my cup along with other ice, put my powder in, shake it up, I'm on my way. I don't like making smoothies. I don't like putting my shakes in the blender because honestly, if I'm drinking my shake, it usually means I don't have time, and that means I don't have time to put it in the blender, rinse out the blender because I don't want to clean up with chunky later, and it's just a pain. So these are really nice, and these, as far as it goes now, that's the only thing I can think of to use these for, the frozen spinach. But I want to tell you how I did it. So I have a NutriBullet. My amazing brother got this for me and Jared for Christmas. So there's a couple different blade options. There's this one, and then there's like a cross one, so it's got two blades. I've used both, works just fine. I'll put a cup, got my cup here. I'll fill it just a tiny bit with water, probably up to maybe not even a 1/4 inch up. And then I'll stuff it with spinach. I'll put it on here, you know, blend, bzz, 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 bzz. And then it'll be almost watery green stuff. And then I'll do that 2 more times, but not adding water. So I'll take spinach and I'll stuff it in there, and I'll do it again. Sometimes you have to shimmy it a lot. Sometimes you have to like pound it on the counter to get the spinach down to the bottom. I promise you it's possible. I've done it multiple times. So I do 3 rounds of spinach in one setting, and 3, you know, rounds of stuffed spinach will fill 1 ice tray. And I only do water once the first time, and that's just to get it kind of going. But you don't want to add a whole lot of water because you don't want your ice cubes being more water and less spinach. They do dissolve fast, so you might, I mean, you want to be careful because, you know, you'll get it, you'll stain your fingers, all that fun stuff. But I take it, I spoon, put it in my ice cube trays. Right now they're soaking so I can clean them. I'll put them in there, pop them in the freezer, usually overnight, and then the next day I'll take them, I'll pop them out, put them in my freezer bag, and stick my freezer bag back into the freezer so that whenever I'm like on my way out the door, I've got extra spinach I can add to any drink, whether it's a protein powder, whether it's Shakeology, if you're adding it to a bread recipe, you know, whatever you're doing. It's a really good way to preserve, another second way to preserve spinach. This way is really nice too because you're not losing too many nutrients because you're not burning them off in the dehydrating process. So that's another plus to freezing them, though it does take up a little bit more space. So if you have any questions about that process, let me know. I can make a video of me doing it. And then I can share that if you guys have any issues or if you're running into problems with it. But thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later. See ya!